Dear students, welcome to La Excellence IAS. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 11th March 2017. The first article is Post-Truths in Tamil Nadu. Here we will be verifying various challenges to democracy, taking the Tamil Nadu as an example. And then is partial cover. Here, the recent amendments to Maternity Benefit Act we will be looking into. And then is after Mosul. The ISIS is losing the war in Mosul, and what are the learnings from the same? Is noise the only way to get noticed? Here we will be talking about political parties and their internal functioning and what are the challenges from there. So, the first article, Post Truths in Tamil Nadu. Remember these statements. Liberal democracies are facing a challenge across the world with alternative facts. Mr. Trump has mastered this art, and Europe is also going through the similar challenge. The alternative facts are the distorted facts which are not supported by evidence. So, social media has become an instrument to spread these alternative facts. And second is, responsibility and authority shall not be divorced from each other in the case of democracy. If they get divorced, it ultimately leads to the misuse of authority. If you talk about the remote control governments, extra constitutional authorities, everywhere this is what the divorce that is happening. So in this case, in Tamil Nadu, so a woman from jail, she is trying to control the government, and it also kind of divorce of responsibility and authority from each other. And finally, in a democracy, a government shall function with the legitimacy that comes from the people. And people also shall be able to take back this legitimacy if they think that the government is not appropriate. In India, we do not have these instruments. Let's take right to recall. If it would have existed, probably in India could have been a much different place. But it has its own challenges. But the author talks about the right to recall in this particular article. And finally, growth of power elite based on caste and family connections. It will undermine the functioning of a democratic state. It will convert the power into a decision of few or one individual rather than the decision of all. So, in a democracy, discourse and debate, a reasoned discourse and debate has to prevail. When power elite makes the decisions get lopsided and they reflect the interests of the few rather than the wider society. So this is what we need to understand about democracy from this article. Is noisy the only way to get noticed? If you see the internal functioning of our democracies and political parties, the political party functioning is highly centralized, and we often described it as high command politics. These are hierarchical structures, and reaching to the high command is almost impossible for the ground level cadre. So, what is the way out for the cadre? That is to create some noise or disturbance to get the attention of the high command. So, this is the reason why the constructive work which is supposed to be done by the cadre at the ground level is being replaced by some fringe elements. And second thing is, if we carefully observe, internalization of the democracy in political parties needs systemic changes in party working and also in constitution. The PRS legislative research head, he was writing repeated articles stating that how the anti-defection law and whip in the political parties is disturbing the internal democracy of the political parties. And further to this, a constructive work, if it has to be noticed, there has to be a systematic arrangement to notice the merit in the political parties. And the political parties have to spread their ideology and has to bring the cadre along with them. There is a huge dissociation between the leadership and the cadre in owning the objectives and the vision the political party gives for the nation. So if this situation has to change, the only way forward is democratizing the political parties, bringing in internal elections and systematizing their work. And after Mosul, so in the Mosul, ISIS is losing the war. So the ISIS rose out of the disturbance and alienation of the Sunnis. So wherever there is instability, that is a good ground for terrorism to rise. So the terrorism rises from two instances. One is sense of injustice and sense of hatred. So after Saddam's regime, Nouri al-Maliki's regime in the case of Iraq has polarized the people, and Sunnis have lost the sense of power. And the present regime, Haider al-Abadi, he is talking about inclusive governance, power sharing, and giving due respect to the Sunnis. So that can be a solution, long-term solution. It means it is not just winning over the ISIS, it is winning over the people, fighting the sectarian divide in the country. That is more important. That is what the political will shall reflect. That is what this article says about. And then partial cover. So recently, the Maternity Benefit Act has been amended to provide for a paid leave for pregnant women from 12 weeks to 26 weeks. It was extended. Now, added to this, crutchy need to be established at the workplace, and these benefits are also available for single mothers. It means that mother who has become pregnant with the embryo transfer or who has adopted a child, for them also these benefits come. But see the challenge over here. The employers, they try to be biased against the women. They may not be willing to take the women into the organization because of these particular challenges. Now, the government has to ensure that the gender diversity is also maintained at the workplace. And second, these benefits are given only to the women in organized sector, not in the case of unorganized sector. So most of the women, they lie in the unorganized sector. It means hardly 18 lakh of the women are going to get benefited from the same. So the present day way of working to empower the women is to provide for an employability, economic independence, and social space of their own to them. So that's what this article talks. Now let's come to the news page. Enemy property bill passed amid walkout. So let's understand the enemy property. So the property of the citizens belonging to Pakistan and China is called as the enemy property. Their organizations, their property, everything comes under the enemy property. So this concept has come into existence during 62, 65 and 71 wars. In 1968, government has passed a law, that is Enemy Properties Maintenance Act. So in this case, what the government did is, it has appointed a custodian to oversee these properties. The entire responsibility of these properties depends on this custodian. Now, what this says is, these properties shall not be sold if they are against to the public interest or just to remove them from the custodian hands. Now, the government wants to change these provisions and says that these properties will continue in the hands of the custodian and they do not get into the legal heir's hand even if the enemy has died, enemy has changed his nationality. And second is, it means that there will be no legal succession to the enemy properties. The government will hold them. Almost they are to the tune of lakhs of crores of rupees. Even Saif Ali Khan, Sharmila Tagore, all these are going to be the victims of this particular law now. And the second is, the property cannot be transferred by this custodian unless the government permission is there. So, the property lies with the custodian and it cannot be transferred even to the legal heirs by the custodian without the government permission. These are the major provisions of this bill. And the government wanted to pass this bill in the midst of the opposition in Rajya Sabha. Finally, the bill has passed through Rajya Sabha. Now coming to moral, that is a mass coral bleaching again. So corals, they live in symbiotic relationship. So the corals provide space for the algae to live in, and algae conducts the photosynthesis and provides the food to corals. Whatever the color the corals possess was given by the algae. So the bleaching, the change in the water temperature in the oceans is leading to the bleaching of corals. This is visible in coral reefs, Great Barrier Reef in the case of Australia. So rise in water temperatures due to climate change, changing the salinity and acidity of the oceans, all these are the reasons for coral bleaching, and even stress. So these need to be understood. Thank you very much and all the best. And this, okay, I have given the notes at the end. Try to go through these notes which I wrote on democracy. So you can use these points in the essay, and wherever you are unable to fill the points in your answer, you can just pull up this point and you can make it in the answer. So these are good for every question in the paper 2 of our GS. And then these notes will be available to you at lax.in/civilsprep. And another thing is, whatever we are talking over here, we will be having a weekly magazine. So that is Lax Weekly. All these notes will be organized according to the syllabus papers, and it will be given to you once in a week. And in Delhi, we are making them available with image runners, a photocopy shop. In Hyderabad, they will be available at Vikas Bookstore. So these are the two places we are giving it. And you can suggest any good bookstores where we can send the magazines. We are going to keep the cost low, only we are going to collect the logistics and print cost. So for this particular news items. Thank you very much and all the best.